But before we start, please support us by pressing like and subscribe buttons. Also turn on the bell notification to get the latest updates. Your support means a lot to us. Thank you.
Part 1. Europe under crowns, a continent of kings.
Have you ever wondered why Switzerland, right in the heart of Europe, doesn't have a king or queen? To understand their unique story, we first need to travel back in time to an era when almost all of Europe bowed to a crown. Picture this: the Middle Ages, a time of knights, castles, and powerful monarchs across the continent. From the shores of England to the vast plains of Poland, kings and nobles held absolute power. They weren't just rulers, they were the law. Their whims could start wars, their decrees could build cities or condemn thousands, and the fate of every common person rested in their hands. This was a world where lineage meant everything and power was passed down through bloodlines. At the very center of this chessboard was the mighty Holy Roman Empire. It wasn't just a country, it was a sprawling, complex web of territories, duchies, and kingdoms, all under the ultimate authority of the emperor. The emperor's throne was seen as the earthly extension of divine will, a symbol of unquestionable power that stretched across much of Central Europe. In this system, strength came from allegiance to a powerful lord, and independence was a dangerous, almost unthinkable dream. Life was dictated by a strict hierarchy. You were born a peasant, a knight, or a noble, and that was your destiny. Power flowed from the top down, from God to the emperor, from the king to the duke, and finally to the local lord who governed the village. The idea of a people governing themselves, without a monarch to guide them, was simply revolutionary. It went against the entire order of the world, and nestled within this continent of crowns, surrounded by powerful empires and ambitious princes, was a small, rugged land of mountains and valleys. This was the land that would one day become Switzerland. At this point in history, it had no single identity, no unified voice. It was just a collection of communities, subject to the authority of distant dukes and emperors. They were pawns in a much larger game, their future seemingly already written by the powerful hands that held the scepters and wore the crowns. But change was coming. A seed of defiance was about to be planted in this rocky soil, one that would grow into a nation unlike any other. Stay tuned to find out how they did it. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for the next part of our story.
Part 2. The Alps, a small land that refused to kneel.
Have you ever wondered why Switzerland, right in the heart of Europe, never had a king, while grand monarchies rose and fell all around it? This small nation carved its own unique path. The secret lies not in grand castles or powerful armies, but in the very land itself, the mighty Alps. Imagine a time when most of Europe was a chessboard for kings and emperors. Deep within the towering, snow-capped peaks of the Alps, life was different. The terrain was harsh, the valleys were isolated, and the winters were long. This wasn't a land of sprawling estates and easy riches. It was a place for the tough, the resilient, the self-reliant. The people who called these mountains home were primarily farmers, shepherds, and herdsmen, working the land with their own hands. But they weren't just farmers. Their rugged homeland sat at a crucial crossroads of Europe. The mountain passes they controlled were vital arteries for trade, connecting the powerful states of Italy with the markets of Germany and France. The people living here became the guardians of these routes. They guided merchants, maintained the paths, and ensured safe passage. This gave them an economic importance that far outweighed their small numbers. Living in these isolated communities, they learned to depend on each other, not on a distant monarch. They didn't have a king to protect them, so they learned to protect themselves. They formed local councils and swore oaths of mutual support, creating a powerful sense of community and shared destiny. The mountains that separated them from the world also shielded them, acting as a natural fortress against would-be conquerors. This unique environment forged a spirit of fierce independence. Why should they bow to a foreign lord who knew nothing of their struggles, their way of life, or the value of their mountain path? They had survived and thrived through their own hard work and cooperation. This wasn't a land that would easily kneel. In these deep valleys, surrounded by impenetrable peaks, the seeds of resistance and a new kind of freedom were beginning to sprout, setting the stage for a story unlike any other in European history. Thanks for watching, and if you were curious to see how these mountain folk took on the mightiest empires of their time, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for the next part of our series. Say you 10.
Part 3. The year 1291, an oath without a king.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to our series on Switzerland, the nation without a king. In our last episode, we saw how the tough, independent people of the Alpine valleys manage their own affairs. But what happens when a powerful external threat looms? Let's dive into the year that changed everything. 1291. Imagine the scene. It's the heart of the Middle Ages, a time when kings and emperors ruled Europe with an iron fist. But here, in the secluded valleys of Schwyz and Unterwalden, something revolutionary was brewing. The Habsburg dynasty was growing stronger, casting a long shadow over these free communities. They knew that to stand alone was to be conquered, so they decided to stand together. In August of 1291, representatives from these three cantons met, likely in a meadow called the Rutli, overlooking the serene waters of Lake Lucerne. This wasn't a coronation. There was no king to be crowned, no throne to be built, no scepter to be passed. Instead, they made a promise. They swore a simple but powerful oath. This agreement, known as the Federal Charter of 1291, was a pact of mutual defense. They pledged to help each other against any and all who might attack or wrong them. They agreed to accept no outside judge, especially one imposed by a foreign power. If there were disputes among them, they would be settled by their own wisest men. This was a radical idea. Power wasn't flowing down from a monarch. It was rising up from the people themselves. This oath was the bedrock. It was a declaration that their freedom was not granted by a king, but earned by their own unity and strength. They weren't fighting for a crown. They were fighting for each other, for their families, and for their way of life. While the rest of Europe bent the knee to hereditary rulers, these mountain folk put their faith in a pact, in a shared promise. And that, right there, is the moment many consider the true birth of Switzerland. Not a kingdom born of conquest, but a confederation born of a common will to be free. It was a bold step, a defiant stand against the norm, and it set the stage for centuries of Swiss independence. Thank you so much for watching. What do you think about this unique form of nation building? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon, so you don't miss our next episode, where we'll see how this young alliance was immediately put to the test. See you next time.
Part 4. Defying Empires, Switzerland versus the Habsburgs.
Hey everyone, welcome back to our series on Switzerland, the nation that stood strong without a king while the rest of Europe bowed to monarchy. Today, we're diving into Part 4, where we'll see how this small Alpine nation defied one of the most powerful empires of the time. The Habsburgs. Picture this: the mighty Habsburg dynasty, with its vast territories and ambitions, cast a long shadow over Europe. They saw the strategic Swiss lands, controlling vital Alpine passages, and decided they must be brought under their imperial control. They expected an easy victory. What they didn't expect was the sheer will of the Swiss people. The Habsburgs sent their professional, heavily armored armies into the mountains. Who were they fighting? Not another king's army, but ordinary people, farmers, hunters, and craftsmen. These weren't knights in shining armor. They were free people armed with simple, yet effective, weapons like the long halberd and the pike. They knew something the invaders didn't. The land itself. The battles weren't fought on open fields where imperial cavalry could dominate. Instead, they took place on treacherous, narrow mountain passes and steep, unforgiving slopes. The Swiss used the terrain to their advantage, setting up devastating ambushes. Imagine heavily armored knights struggling up a narrow path, only to be met with a hail of rocks from above, followed by a disciplined wall of pikes charging downhill. It was chaos for the invaders. This wasn't just about one or two lucky wins. It was a strategy. The Swiss perfected a form of warfare that turned their weaknesses into strengths. Their unity, their knowledge of the land, and their innovative tactics allowed them to consistently defeat a far wealthier and more powerful enemy. Battles like Morgarton and Sempach became legendary, proving that a determined populace could overcome imperial might. Through these incredible victories, Switzerland sent a clear message to all of Europe. They did not need a king to protect them. They could protect themselves. Their strength came not from a crown, but from their community and their fierce love of freedom. This defiance shaped the very soul of the Swiss nation, proving that ordinary people, when united, could forge their own destiny. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this piece of history, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss the next part of our series. See you next time.
Part 5. A Crownless Legacy, Modern Switzerland.
So, how did this small, landlocked nation, once a chaotic jumble of cantons, transform into one of the most stable and prosperous countries on Earth? This is the final chapter of our story, Switzerland's crownless legacy. After the turmoil of the Napoleonic era, Switzerland didn't just rebuild, it reinvented itself. The old, loose confederation gave way to a stronger, more unified federal state in 1848. But here's the crucial part. They didn't look for a new king or emperor to lead them. Instead, they put their faith in something far more powerful: the rule of law and the collective will of the people. The crown wasn't just absent, it was replaced by a constitution. This shift laid the foundation for modern Switzerland. The focus turned inward, toward building a robust economy, fostering innovation, and perfecting their unique system of direct democracy. And as the great powers of Europe armed themselves for future conflicts, Switzerland adopted a radical new strategy: permanent, armed neutrality. This wasn't a sign of weakness, it was their greatest strength. Neutrality became their shield, allowing them to avoid the devastation of 2 world wars that tore the continent apart. While empires rose and fell, and crowns were lost to revolutions, Switzerland quietly thrived. Its stability and neutrality made it a safe haven for capital, a hub for international diplomacy, and a symbol of peace. Think about it. The Red Cross was born here, and Geneva became a home for countless international organizations, all because this was a nation you could trust a nation outside. The grand, often destructive games of thrones played by its neighbors. From the legendary oath on the Rutli Meadow to the modern federal state, Switzerland's journey is a powerful testament. It proves that a nation's strength doesn't come from a monarch's bloodline or a conqueror's ambition. It can be built on shared values, mutual respect, and the radical idea that ordinary people can govern themselves. Switzerland stands today not just as a wealthy nation, but as living proof that a country can rise, endure, and shine brightly, all without ever needing a king. Thanks for joining me on this incredible journey through Swiss history. If you enjoyed this series, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next historical deep dive. See you next time.